Here's a quick question for everyone who's watching. Have you ever felt called to help, but just didn't know where to start or wondered, can I really make a difference? Well, today you're going to hear how God opens doors and brings hope through Molly's story and the Overseas Initiative. It's all about living with purpose and letting Jesus lead the way. What's the heartbeat behind the Overseas Initiative, and how did God put this vision in your heart?
So the heartbeat truly is to love and serve our fellow brothers and sisters in Christ in Cuba. And so the founder of the Overseas Initiative had been traveling to Cuba for over 10 years, saw that the Cuban church was strong, it was healthy, but it just didn't have the same opportunities that an American church had, or it didn't have the same support that some of these other international churches receive just because of the nature of America's relationship to Cuba. And so he and his brother really felt that they could make a difference by coming alongside the existing work in Cuba and supporting the churches, supporting the Christians, and seeing Cuba change from the inside out.
Mhm.
And so my heart for that is that I get to be just a simple part of seeing the Cuban church grow, seeing people come to faith in a country where the government is intentionally atheist and they have really made it difficult for the Cuban church to thrive.
Mhm.
So we work alongside the Cuban churches. We travel down as many times as possible throughout the year just to come alongside and encourage. And in turn, we become encouraged by the work. We become
Mhm.
encouraged by the Cuban people and the Cuban church.
Their hearts must be so like wide open for God, right? You must seeing a lot of that there.
Oh, you have to go in understanding that the Cuban church is going to be very different because all they have is Christ.
Mm.
And so their faith is built upon full trust, full reliance on the Lord because they have nothing to distract them from that relationship between them and God. And so in
Mhm.
turn, their relationship with each other is even strengthened. The
Mhm.
Cuban church is very interdenominational. There are multiple denominations, yet they all are willing to serve together because they all know that this world is fleeting. Things are fleeting. To be prosperous is probably not going to be a part of their lives. And so they truly do have this bond of peace built upon the universal love of the Lord.
It just goes to show you the humbleness that there is out there. In the United States, we're also worried about what's happening here, and but over there, they don't get what we have. They have to live a very humble life, and not maybe sometimes they don't even know if where their next meal is going to come from. Sometimes some of them. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh, yes. The frequency of them even having something as simple as an egg might be once a month, depending on the family. If they have any food at all, it's rice and beans, and they rely on the government telling them when they're allowed to come pick up the rice and beans. Anything else they have to pay for if they have the income. And they truly do live very much in a third world kind of setting.
Mm-hmm.
They have to truly walk in that trust that the Lord will give them their daily bread.
Well, I am just wondering how can you share a moment when God was working through your team in Cuba with the people?
Yes, so what we do is we kind of try to care for the Cuban person as a whole. So we try to care for them physically, spiritually, and financially. And so when we bring a team down with us, our first priority is always going to be evangelism and discipleship because we know that the chief end of what we do is to help others know who Christ is. And so we took a team in March to Cuba and we went to this small village that doesn't get a lot of American help
Mhm.
because they're just so far out of a major city. And we went with this village to start doing door to door evangelism. And while we were there, an older couple opened their door to us, which is the first time that they've been willing to receive anyone. They opened their door. We started talking with them. We brought a filter with us, a water filter, and we started just explaining how, this water filter is going to clean your water. It's going to give you water for the day just for your health, but it's not going to sustain you for life. So as we started talking through what a true sustaining of your life looks like, we began saying the only thing that can truly sustain is Christ. It is a relationship with Him because that's the eternal sustaining. And
Mhm.
we walked through John 4, the woman at the well, and this couple looked at us and said, we've never had anything that fulfilled our life. We want to have this living water. And so they prayed to receive Christ. And now they're hosting a Bible study in their home. They attend church regularly in the village. And we later found out that the wife had actually been a Santeria sorceress. So Santeria is kind of like their version of voodoo. So she had been the one to try to make people's lives better by casting spells and crafting different like Santeria tools. And she had seen that nothing satisfied, nothing sustained, only Christ. And so
Mhm.
it was really powerful for our team to get to know that lives were being changed because she could go back to all of her previous clients
Mhm.
and preach the gospel and evangelize to them. She and her husband are being actively discipled. And so it's been a really sweet blessing for that church congregation, that couple, and then for our team here in America.
Mhm. Mhm. So let me ask you a question. How have you seen like faith change lives, like a story like that? But how about your story? I mean, your story of like how you got there and why you did this. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I come from an education background originally. I was a teacher, and then COVID hit, and I wasn't really certain what I was going to do. So I kind of went into the nonprofit world. I got a little practice doing event planning with one ministry and learning how to run medical mission trips. I got practice with financials with another ministry. And so I had just been building all these skills from these other nonprofits to get to learn how to run one. And so when TOI was established, over the Overseas Initiative, we call it TOI, TOI for short. When TOI was established, the founders really weren't certain what they were going to do. The board wasn't certain what they were going to do. They just knew that it needed to have some sort of operation. And so one of my mentors knew the founding board members and said, "You need to go talk to Molly." And that was kind of the start. Was just this conversation, just to kind of have an opportunity to help support this work, but didn't really fully know anything about it. Well, 6 months into my time with Toy, I took my first trip to Cuba. And while I was there, I was in this city that is the heart of Santeria. It is one of their holy cities. It is just very dark. And I was talking with a pastor, and I looked at him and I said, "How do you keep hope when you have nothing, when you are surrounded by all this darkness? What compels you to keep pursuing ministry and keep pursuing the Lord?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, all I have is Christ," meaning he understands he has nothing at all. Like he truly lives in the fact that he has nothing physically. He goes, "But because all I have is Christ, all I have is Christ. All he wants, all he needs is Christ." And that changed my heart completely for Cuba. It gave me a deep love that now, I mean, Cuba's everywhere in my home. It is, I have all like the souvenirs. I have my family traveling to Cuba with me. I have my friends wanting to come to Cuba. I talk about it all the time. I just flew to Belgium for the wedding of one of our Cuban translators because it's truly like changed our life. It is, or it changed my life. It is completely in sync with how I pursue the gospel, how I love the Lord. It's to serve Him, to seek His kingdom first. And I get to watch that kingdom building in Cuba.
hmm You know, I'm thinking as you're talking about the people out there that like they want to do things like you, they want to step out, but we could see how the Lord can actually change your life in a New York minute, right?
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
can change and so everything changed for you and your faith grew and the Lord grew you and he had this bigger plan for you. So anybody out there that's, thinking hey, listen, I want to be able to serve or support a mission. This is such an amazing ministry that they have. And so yeah, how can they get involved with this? And, you know, even if they feel like totally ordinary.
And that's a great question because I'll even give you an example. I don't speak Spanish. I'm learning Spanish. Cuba speaks Spanish. And so sitting here even going, how can I help early on? It's so easy. It's we do not expect everyone to travel to Cuba. We'll never ask people to try to travel to Cuba if they don't feel comfortable, if they feel unsafe. We understand that it is the one of the hardest mission trips you're going to ever take. But one easy way that you can help is we bring supplies, we bring foods, we bring medicines, we bring even toys for churches who want to do a VBS. We don't even give the VBS toys ourselves while we're there. We give them to the church, and after we leave, the church gets to give it to the people to ensure that the Cubans trust the Cuban church first and don't just wait for an American to give them what they think they need.
Mhm.
And so so donations of supplies is always helpful. There are Cubans here in America who are refugees here in where we're based out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we have a little Cuban community here. Well, we're starting like dinner clubs with them and just being a part of their life. It's relational. They are not believers, and so it's life on life evangelism with them. You can get connected to what we do through simply just praying for us. We have a monthly newsletter. We have a blog that kind of goes through the work we're doing. So praying for these people in the blog, you get to see their faces. You get to hear, like, know their names. Um, and just because we are working in a communist country, we have to maintain a little more security when it comes to faces and names. But and then yeah, if you want to get involved, if you want to go to Cuba and get to know these people and be a part of this kingdom building work, then contact us about a mission trip we're doing. We try to bring people with us 3 times a year. And we are still such a young ministry that we get to be really flexible with the times we go to Cuba. And we do make sure it's always safe and secure because we're going to get you a religious visa. We're going to get you a safe kind of system, and so that's always an option is to come to Cuba and see the work and get on fire. And next thing you know, you're gonna have little Chevy vintage cars in your house, or you're gonna have Cuban art in your house, and you're gonna get messages from the Cubans that you've ministered with every single day. But that's I mean, we have so many opportunities that might not even know how you can help yet, just because again, I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, I know a guy who has a shipping container company. Do you guys ever ship supplies to Cuba?" And that's opened doors for us to be able to ship larger in bulk items for the people. And so there's a lot of freedom in how you can help us.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there, I know that they don't even really understand what a mission trip is, but I think there are also people out there that like would love to know how to go on a mission trip. And some churches, they don't supply that information or are hooked up with a mission. So, I think this is such a great ministry and you're going to, at the end, you're going to give how they can contact you. So, what's the biggest lesson that God taught you about trust?
Well, so it is another country. It is a country where things are a lot more relaxed and sometimes a lot of things go wrong. And I am a planner by nature. I am very organized by nature. I like things to go on a schedule. And when they don't, when they change, when they shift, I have had to learn to trust the Lord knew exactly what was happening in that moment.
Hmm.
And in turn, how he uses it far exceeds for his glory, far exceeds how I would have planned it or how I would have done it. And so I have to trust that his way truly is higher than mine. His thoughts are higher than mine, and he is sovereign. And it really establishes my trust in his sovereignty because I can't control everything. I have to truly live a surrendered life for the gospel and for his glory.
Mm, I love that answer. Great answer, Molly. Now let me ask you this last question. How do you keep your passion and Jesus' joy alive when things get really rough? And as you were saying, it was not a smooth road. So,
No. You have to honestly be encouraged by the faith of others. If you sit and internalize, or if you try to keep your discontentment, if you try to keep, dwell in bitterness alone, that's you're going to keep it there and you're going to lose your passion for the Lord. But if you are willing to be in community with the Cuban Christians, with your American team, if you're willing to be vulnerable with them and honest, they're going to come alongside you. They're going to encourage you. You're going to see the body of Christ at work, and that's going to reignite that passion. If you are willing to have a humble perspective and an open perspective to see what the Lord's going to do, He is going to keep that passion alive. I actually took my pastor with me in July to Cuba, and getting to watch him befriend and become a part of the community of these Cuban Christians, and he come back and tell our whole church, we're going to Cuba. This is not a debate. We are going to Cuba. Helped restore that passion because I got to have an open perspective that maybe the Lord's not going to work on me this time. Maybe he's working on someone else, but seeing him work on someone else keeps that flame alive in me to keep pursuing his work in Cuba.
yeah, I could see the flame is alive in you because
Good.
you perk up 100% when you're talking about this. This is something that
Oh,
drives you every day, I can see.
I truly love what I do. Never knew that the Lord was going to lead me here, but he's led me here. And it's one of those times when you can confidently say, the lines have fallen in pleasant places. They're not always smooth lines, they're not always straight lines, but they have fallen in a pleasant place. And I am truly blessed by the work I do. And I am blessed to be a blessing to others. Um, my life verse is Psalm 73:25. It's whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth I desire besides you. And that really falls in line with the work we do because, again, apart from Christ, we have nothing, but apart from Christ, we have everything.
Yes.
And so the Lord knew exactly what he was doing in my life, and everything has led to him bringing me to Cuba. And I'm just so grateful.
Yes, yes. A question comes up in my mind. Is Cuba the only country that the Overseas Initiative deals with?
Currently, yes, because we are starting in central Cuba. We're based out of Santa Clara, Cuba. So we're starting central so that we can spread throughout the country. And then once we have uh, secure ministries, secure practices in each major city, and from there the villages can be blessed, then we'll start talking about expansion throughout the Caribbean. But right now, our heart is Cuba, our focus is Cuba, and we want to see Cuba change for the Lord first.
So anybody out there that's really interested in doing missions or just maybe you have a deep rooted love for Cuba and always wanted to see what the people are doing, what they're going through, their culture. But you can learn more about Molly and the Overseas Initiative by visiting their website, and Molly's going to tell you in a minute, reaching out to Molly directly, or following their mission on social media. They'd love to connect with you, whether you want to pray, serve, or just hear more stories. Molly, how can they find you?
Yes, so our website is the overseas initiative.org. And you can contact us via email at info@theoverseasinitiative.org. You can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you can always reach out for anything if you have want to hear more stories. If you are interested in your church or just you going on a mission trip, exploring Cuba, getting to know the heart of the Cuban church, we would love to be a part of that work for you. But yes, so it's the overseasinitiative.org. Email is info@theoverseasinitiative.org, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Wonderful. And what would you like to leave my audience with today?
Just be willing to say yes to what the Lord is going to do in your life. Because if you are willing, if you are Isaiah and you say, "Send me, Lord," He's going to bring something that's going to bring you joy and glory. So just be willing to say yes to the Lord. You don't know where He's going to take you, but He's going to take you into a pleasant place.
Just one more thing. Really simple. What's one action we can all take today to bring Jesus' love to someone in need? Don't forget to like and subscribe and share for more Christ-centered conversations. Visit the website, thecallwithNancySabato.com. Until next time, all glory and honor to King Jesus.